Speaker, just tell us what went into this decision and why you're deciding not to run for Congress.
A lot of things went into the decision, but primarily a couple of reasons. I did two analysis. One was a political analysis, and all those indications were to run. Then it was a personal analysis. It was the job I have, which I love very much as Speaker of the House, and where I've been able to accomplish great things, and hopefully will continue as we move forward. The other part was I have a law practice that I built over 30 years. I really need, if I decide to leave the practice, need to wind down. I didn't have enough time to do that appropriately. And it was a family and a personal decision that I wanted to spend more time basically with my family here in Rhode Island. And going back and forth to Washington, I'm very close to my dad. He's 97 years old. And going back and forth to Washington is, 12, 15 days a month. And I wouldn't have that time with my dad. So I felt those were my priorities in life: my job, current job, my law practice, and my family.
Was part of the analysis, I mean, you're the most powerful politician in Rhode Island, right?
People say that.
Right.
Well,
so, the Speaker of the House, was that part of the analysis? So, like, look, here, I'm the big fish. I'm the Speaker of the House. I go to Washington, and I'm the lowest on the poll.
That was part of it. I had a long discussion with Senator Reid, who's a close personal friend as well as my political mentor, and it would have been, I think, frustrating to me. I'm a person who likes to get things done. I want to get judged on my actions. I don't know, and my accomplishments. I don't know how much I would be able to accomplish in Washington. I feel like I've accomplished good things in my first term as Speaker. And I look forward to. I got a great leadership team, and I look forward to working with them and hopefully get more good things done for Rhode Islanders.
You think you would have won?
Yes.
What makes you say that? I know Sabina Matos got in the race earlier this week. What makes you think you would have won?
I just think the stars were aligned for me. I think my support from the labor community, my support from some advocacy groups, my financial ability to raise money, and basically my ability to, I have deep roots in the 1st Congressional District. Not many people know this, but I grew up in Lincoln, and I also went to Mount St. Charles Academy. My father practiced medicine in Pawtucket for 50 years. So I have a lot of community, a lot of relationships, and I was hearing from a lot of political leaders in the 1st Congressional District who wanted me to run.
Have you talked to any of the other candidates or potential candidates?
Yes.
Helena Folks?
Yes, I've spoken to Helena a couple of times. I've spoken to Sandra Cano and other people who are interested as well. There are people that the media hasn't reported who also expressed a strong interest in running.
Right. In those conversations, and I probably don't want to let any cats out of the bag here, but was it kind of like if one person runs, the other won't run, or?
No, I think I have developed some great relationships over my years in public service, and I think people were waiting to see what I did, and they were respectful of that. So I appreciate that opportunity, and that's another reason I wanted to make this decision sooner rather than later. I realized that my potential candidacy to some degree has frozen out the field, and I think that's good for me, but not necessarily good for the party or the state. So I think that by making this announcement now, I think next week you'll see a bunch of people express some more public interest in running, possibly even announcing as well.
Did you talk to the Commerce Secretary?
Yes.
Yeah, and you guys go back a ways, but
yeah.
So did she think you should run?
She said to me we're very close personally, and she said to me, follow your heart and make a decision. Whatever your decision is, I support your decision. And that's the same advice I would give her. We're close, so it's more of was a personal decision. She expressed optimism to have me down in Washington, but at the end of the day, she also said you're doing great things for the state of Rhode Island. So it was the same reason that really Jack Reed said to me. He wouldn't tell me to run or not run. But he just told me what would it be like to be there as the 435th member of a minority party in Congress.
And that's what kind of got you on one side of the fence or the other?
Well, that was a big factor in what I decided. The same fact as I said, too, I got a good day job. I like being Speaker of the House. I like my colleagues. And I was also really touched by the support I got from my colleagues up and down the 1st Congressional District. People who will support me and help me and run for me, and all the way from Woonsocket all the way down to Newport. And I was very touched by that, humbly. So that weighed in my decision as well. But sometimes, even if you can win an office, and it's not easy in politics to win office, but even if you can win an office, it might not be the right thing to do, and that's ultimately what it came down to. It wasn't a question of winning. It wasn't a political decision, Brian. It was strictly a personal decision. Personal for the role I have now, personal for my family, and personal for my, occupation.
And given that, was this, I mean, the 2nd congressional seat was just open. I know,
yes.
Obviously that's kind of a more redder part of the state, but was this an opportunity that might not come along again?
Oh,
or,
yes.
is this kind of like...
No, I believe that it's, first of all, it's very rare you see any congressional seats. If you look at back historically in Rhode Island, people who've been in Congress, been in for long periods of time. It's very unusual that you have one congressional seat open up. Now you have two in 1 year. So it's very unusual, and I don't think you'll see that in a long time.
Did you make the decision a little while ago? And you're now at peace with it, I guess?
I made the decision pretty much Wednesday night. I thought about it. I rethought about it. I've been thinking about it very seriously. I went to D.C. I talked to the congressional delegation there. I talked to people I have a long-standing relationship, family and friends, as well as political confidants. And this was, I think, the right decision for me at this point. And I like to think it was the right decision for the state.
Do you expect? I know you get the big housing plan
Yes.
at the State House. Do you feel like you have unfinished business over however long period of time that is?
There's always going to be unfinished business because there's always issues to deal with. Every year we have new issues, old issues. But I could have stayed as Speaker and still be a candidate. Just like the governor runs for re-election, he still deals with his day job as he does for re-election. Just as the congressional and senators run for re-election, they still be senator. I could have run for this office very easily and still remain Speaker.
While I have you here, speaking of the governor, he's got the latest round of his cabinet level pay raises that he's proposing. I know in the fall you weren't in session, so you didn't take any action. Do you expect there to be a vote on that, or are you going to let that go through?
I haven't been briefed, and I believe there's a hearing either yesterday or today. There's a hearing coming up. I don't know when it is.
It was earlier.
They had the administration had a hearing on Wednesday.
I'm going to listen to what was presented there and consider it. I don't know exactly what they were. I know that the governor, at least the reports I've been reading from you and other media, that these were going to be incremental raises. So I need to take a look at them, and I'll make a decision then.
But some of the cabinet level directors would be getting $25,000 more on its surface.
You have to look at competitively what other directors are getting around in our geographic regional area. What is the same equivalent getting paid in Massachusetts, Connecticut? That goes into the thought process. We want to retain the best talents. A lot of these directors run multi-million-dollar departments, in some cases in HHS billion-dollar departments. We make sure we get top-flight talent. We need to retain it. Labor shortage is a problem today in our economy.
Hi, everyone. It's Mario Florio from NBC 10. Thanks for checking out the NBC 10 WJAR YouTube channel. Click the links on your screen for more stories from across Southern New England. And don't forget, hit the subscribe button below and get notified anytime we post an update on YouTube. As always, thank you for turning to 10.